Hey everybody, it's Sleepy Reader, aka Damien, and this is another one of my comic book thoughts videos. It will include a comic book countdown where I rank the comics I read in order of from the one I enjoyed the least to the one I enjoyed the most. But before I do that, I'm going to do that at the end of the video. I'm going to do this different. I'm just shaking things up just for the heck of it because I feel like it. Each of these 9 comics, as I read them, that beer's not that good either. Later in the video, you'll see me try out this beer. This beer does have alcohol. It says it's a double India Pale Ale. Does not taste like it. Tastes like a bad lager. I'm not having good luck with beer tonight, but you'll learn more. So I guess I go back to this one. So, yeah, with each of these 9 comics, after I read it, I immediately flicked on the camera on my new iPad here. I think the picture is too clear. I'm gonna not be happy by my looks here. I need a cheaper camera. Anyway, I flipped on the camera and for a few minutes just gave my thoughts, and then I'm gonna edit them all together. Or very simply, I'm just going to put them in the order they were filmed. And then at the end, I'll come back and I will rank them from number 8 down to number, what am I saying? From 8 down to number 1. I think I pretty much enjoyed everything I read. There is a 9th comic. I'm not going to rank it, except now I am. Before we dive into these, I'm just going to rank them by cover. So again, counting down. So number 9 out of 9 was this Butcher Boy cover. I liked this comic, but I did not like that cover so much. And almost as much, I did not really care for this cover, The Writer. It's kind of, it does the job, I guess. It doesn't really compare to the art on the inside, strangely. And then this is kind of a bland cover here on Self-Help. So that is number 8, 7, 6. Sorry, 9, 8, 7. So this was number 7. This is number 6. Remote Spaces. I think it's kind of a symbolic cover, and I think it's a double spread cover, but I think I just didn't like the colors. It just didn't. There's nothing wrong with the coloring, but it just didn't aesthetically appeal to me. And then at number, I'm losing track of the numbers. The next one, Crocodile Black. This is a pretty good cover, but as I looked at it longer, I realized it was very much just a couple of photos doctored together and some drawing on top of them. This is not bad, but not great. Better was this one, which is the Kickstarter comic I received today called I Hate the Morning. I thought this was a pretty cool cover. Plus, it has its personalized sketch on it. But yeah, that's a cool painting. It's got a little abstract painting on the back, which is also kind of cool. Getting closer to the top, we've got the one hand. At first I couldn't even see the image in this cover, but there is a face there, and that's kind of cool. And it's very daring to go all red and black. And then this Spawn cover is pretty amazing. I did have a slight hesitation of is this artificial intelligence? But I don't think it is. It's probably digitally painted, I assume. It has a very painterly quality. What's going on exactly in the cover, I don't know. By far, my favorite cover was to Redcoat number 3. And it definitely helps that it's a, what do you call it? A full spread or whatever. I know there's a good word, a wraparound cover. That's the word I want. I love wraparound covers, and this is a very good one. Cheers to both, Brian Hitch, the line artist, and to Brad Anderson, the colorist. And there's an inker involved too, Andrew Curry. Okay, so on to my little mini reviews, or mini thoughts, really just whatever popped into my mind right after I read them. And then I'll come back and I will rank them as to what I enjoyed reading the most rather than the covers. So first off, what I love about Redcoat is the art. This is Brian Hitch having a ton of fun with giant spreads. And I look forward to, I guess in this issue, there may have just been two of them. I look forward to those big moments. And there's some other big moments here. Well, somewhat big moments. I think this actually may be two separate panels, but it seems, yeah, that's weird. But so I just have a lot of fun with the art, and having fun, I think, is central to this book. Oh, there's a cool one where giant magical trees from Johnny Appleseed are shooting out of this house when they accidentally open up the packet of Johnny Appleseed seeds. So it's kind of humorous. It taps into American mythology. I think every once in a while I get stopped by the fact that this kid is Albert Einstein as his sidekick to the Redcoat, and someone much smarter than him. But I just have to remind myself to not take this book seriously. And there's that part of my brain that wants to be more literal about things. So with the Einstein, I'll be like, would Einstein really be like that? And I just have to turn that part of my brain off. This is just a fun book. And yeah, it's just, I'm really enjoying it. You know, the mythology, it's very fast paced. So you read through an issue really fast, but it's, yeah, I also appreciate, as with all of these Ghost Machine books, and like the Todd McFarlane books, it's got really nice cover stock, good quality pages, 22 pages of story, this, you know, really nice cover like that, and then the back material. A lot of it is repeated from issue to issue, but still there's usually something new in each issue. Like here is a bio of our version of Benedict Arnold here. So anyway, cool book. Wow, how to talk about the One Hand issue 5, the final issue, without spoiling it. I'll say I really noticed how much I enjoy the art, the storytelling, the layouts, the color. There was a weird moment where I didn't realize this person with the hair here was this person also. And I don't know if that's the fault of the artist or the artist and the writer together. The setup, we understand at the end roughly what is going on at the beginning in terms of our characters being interviewed by someone and who that someone is, sort of, and the context in which they're talking about things. But so we see him talking. So this is my complaint about the book. We see him talking, and then there are captions, which I guess are still him talking. Later, there are some captions that are just faintly surrounded by red, and it took me most of the book to realize that was his interrogator asking him questions. And throughout the comic, any panels were either the hero of the story being interrogated after all these events, or the interrogator, if there was something in red. But and then I just noticed, hey, these are kind of in blue slightly, and it made me think about how, since comics have kind of given up on thought balloons and use captions for a variety of interior monologues and narration at different times and places, they don't have any standard way of letting you know what you're reading and what caption. And so I had to sort of reread 2/3 of this after I figured it out, to fully understand, because one of the frequent systems people use is someone's talking, and if they're not in the next panel, their dialogue comes up here in the in the caption box, but actually that's someone talking in the story that's being told, and then this caption box is the character talking in his interview after the story happened. Anyway, so that got very confusing. It kind of counteracted the effect of otherwise all this really cool art. But in the end, I definitely enjoyed this. I've been enjoying this all along, and it's been getting stronger as it goes along. And by the point we got to this, it was satisfying to have an explanation. There was still a lot of stuff that is not explained, like, for instance, what the cogs are and what exactly the cogs are and what purpose they serve. And also, there's certain things I'm not sure if I understand correctly, because if I understand them the way I think I understand them, then certain things didn't really happen, or did they really happen? I don't know. But then the other sort of cop-out is there's a final part of the interview that's just given as text, because we ran out of time, because it would be boring to visualize it, but we need this info dump. It's kind of an odd way to end a comic. Again, I didn't hate it, but I just noticed that it was rather odd. And then at the end of the comic, it says "end?" ? So I don't know if that means they hope to do more, or just they're trying to be ambiguous, end of what? And what choice. We don't know what choice our character makes, although it makes sense for us not to know, like, that's a thing. So anyway, the One Hand and the Sixth Fingers, or Sixth Finger, are interlaced comics written by two different writers who are friends. So I might get even more when the fifth issue of the Sixth Finger hasn't come out yet. And I hope when they collect them, that they collect them together, because I think it's really good to read the issues every other one. Read the One Hand, read the Sixth Finger 1, 2, 3, etc. It makes a much richer reading experience that way than if I were to read all 6 issues of one in a trade and then all 6 issues of another in a trade. I don't think it would be nearly as good. It would spoil one of the trades or the other, I think. But I do need to reread these, finding time to do that. I'm going to greatly enjoy rereading these all together. I'd heard of people saying that the Brett Booth art in Spawn was really good, and I just generally got a vibe from people's comments that the book's been very fun lately. So I just decided to pick up an issue and see. And I totally agree. The Brett Booth art is great. He has an inker, Adelso Corona. So some credit goes there too. And to the colorist. So the whole art team should get credit for some very fun, exciting superhero style comics with modern but lurid superhero-ish colors. If only like your average Marvel comic looked like this. And the colorist's name is J. David Ramos, and I liked his coloring. I guess so, because I'm not currently. I haven't read Spawn in quite a long time. I guess the first few pages happen in the present, and then we flash back, so we know that Spawn survives yet again, if I understood it correctly. There's a lot of different forces and stuff that I didn't understand, but I got the general idea that Spawn did something that made him lose most of his Spawn powers, but sealed the deal for something in hell. But apparently that opens up just a bunch of new factions to come in attacking, including a bunch of vampires. And it was fun, a very quick read. It's written not by Todd McFarlane, but by Rory McConville, with Todd McFarlane doing additional script. So I think Todd is almost like the script doctor who comes in and fixes up things so it all matches his vision, perhaps. And I assume that, and then the splash page at the end, someone shows up, and I guess that's a surprise. I won't say his name just in case people know who he is, but it didn't mean anything to me. But anyway, it's fun, and depending on my mood, I can definitely see following Spawn for a few issues and seeing whether it starts clicking with me. Spawn is still $2.99, 20 pages, whereas the average indie comic is 22, 24 pages, sometimes more. But a good deal, and nice cover stock and paper and everything. So I'm glad I read it. So Butcher Boy from Dark Horse. A lot of Dark Horse comics don't have nice covers, but this one does have the nice cover stock. I didn't count the pages, but it felt pretty, I don't know, must have been at least 22 pages. I don't know why I worry about length, but somehow that's always an issue for me. Has been ever since I first started reading comics as a kid. And after a while, comics kept shrinking their number of pages down to like 17 or 16 pages. And I became obsessed with how many pages there were. So probably after I film this, count the number of pages here just to double check. But anyway, it's very well done. I bought it because it is written by Landry Q. Walker, who did such a great job on now quite old comics, Danger Club and what was it called? Supergirl in the 8th grade or something like that. That was a young adult comic that was fantastic by Landry Walker. This is something completely different. It's a very disturbing horror. It has a lot of familiar elements. A group of young people go on a car ride somewhere that they think is going to be cool. There's a haunted story to go with it. And they let us know right at the beginning of the comic that something awful is going to happen. And then we follow the group as they explore this semi-deserted town with this legend of the butcher and the butcher boy. This supernatural butcher that's eating his own child for eternity inside this cave somewhere in this town. So obviously things are not going to go well. One of the characters is, big into social media and live streaming her adventures and that kind of thing. And you got a whole bunch of different conflicts between all the characters that are done very well. But at the end of the day, this feels like it's well done, but not for me. However, I did buy issue 2 before I read this issue 1, so I'll read the next issue and see if I care to keep going or not. It's interesting that Landry Q. Walker can go from so many different genres, and I don't think he spends most of his time writing comics, because I don't see a lot of comics by him. And the artist, I like the art and the coloring. Justin Greenwood, artist, Brad Simpson, colorist. Oh, and very nice letters by Pat Brousseau. I happened to notice the lettering here in a positive kind of way. I just liked the way he plays with the different sizes of the letters. And really, the lettering is really in sync with the way the dialogue is working, and adds a lot, because there's an interesting style to the dialogue where there's a lot of overlapping conversations and that kind of thing in it, and it all works. So, interesting comic. So, I couldn't handle the heat, so I came inside. Oops, the cat's in the way. I came inside and I read another comic book, this time Crocodile Black, issue 1. This cover is by Andre Sorrentino, and as I took a couple of double take looks on it, I realized it was very, very photoshopped. Like a photograph with a crocodile added in the background, and then a bunch of squiggles added and everything. It's too perfect. Oh, there's the cat again. She's like, what is this thing you're talking to? But inside, that was Sorrentino on the cover. Inside, the art is by someone named Som, S-O-M. And it's actually excellent art and doesn't feel at all like there's some kind of digital cheating or, God forbid, AI involved. It just feels like real, real authentic art with kind of a watercolor look, and just really good storytelling, and great for this kind of psychological story that also is a murder mystery and a horror story. It's colored by Patricio Del Pesce and lettered by Becca Carey. So, and so I didn't mention the writer, Philip Kennedy Johnson, which is the reason I picked this up. I know he's done a lot of writing for DC and Marvel and has been pretty popular there. So I thought it would be interesting to see what he would do in an indie book. And signed so far, very good. Again, kind of like, not as much, but a bit like Butcher Boy. It feels less like the question mark in my mind is this a comic that is for me? It's an extremely well done comic. Do I relate to kind of the psychological aspect of it or not? I'm not sure. I'll probably try another issue. The art gives me a lot of confidence in the story, but it's also laid out in a very meticulous way, building up the characters and everything like that. Um, it's a variation on a couple of different stories together in a way. I think the horror story and the murder mystery and the person who may be going insane or maybe not kind of story in the horror vein. So very interesting. Yeah, a really unique, not 100% unique comic, but quite a unique comic, quite good. I will say that Boom does put very cheap cover stock on, at least on this comic, and on some of the others, I think. But anyway, worth checking out. So I've just read issue 1 of The Writer, which I assume is a miniseries. It's from Dark Horse, flimsy cover paper. I will put up how many pages. I'm obsessed with the number of pages. I think this one was 24 pages. Utterly wonderful art by Ariel Olivetti, who I believe used to work for DC and then for Marvel. In fact, when I looked him up on Wikipedia, it said he had a exclusive contract at Marvel at some point. But it looks, I couldn't see any artwork or any listed comics by him in like the past 5 years or so. So I don't know if he's taken time off from comics or American comics. He's from Argentina. I even looked on his Instagram, and it looks like he's doing a lot of sketches for people, commissions. So maybe he took some time off just to do commissions, or maybe Marvel and DC threw him to the curb for cheaper artists. Anyway, the art in here is fantastic, and that definitely makes the writer, that alone makes the writer worthwhile. It's kind of a fun story, written with very broad strokes, invoking a lot of Jewish mythology. I don't know how accurate it is, and having people kind of toss in little bits of Yiddish and cliched Jewish American speech that didn't ring true to me. Although, for all I know, the writers are Jewish. The writers are Josh Gad and Berkowitz Bros. Maybe Berkowitz Bros are someone I should know of or have heard of. Just the way that's written, it makes me think there's someone of some special nature. But anyway, it's like I say, it's kind of fun. But everything is on the nose, and it just kind of, things that just happen. It just happens that your father, you, the writer, your father collected this stuff about Jewish mythology, and so you've got a magic sword, and you've got a magic notebook, and a magic ring, all of which just falls into your lap. Anyway, but it's still a lot of fun, and and similarly, the anti-Semitism is very on the nose too. There's no subtlety in this comic book, but wonderful art and a fun enough story. So the weird thing is the cover is really not nearly as good as the interior art, and the cover artist is someone else, Jeremy Hahn, who the art is fine, but I think Jeremy Hahn is someone who's kind of a writer artist. I'm not sure why they chose him to do the covers. And I saw the cover for the next issue on Instagram, and it's also by Jeremy Hahn, or I think by Jeremy Hahn, certainly not in this Ariel Olivetti style. So yeah, a lot of impressive art I've been reading today, or finding in comics today. So I just got this comic in the mail today and realized it was something that I had backed on Kickstarter because of K-Pop Junkie. So I saw the creator of this, who is a writer, artist, colorist, Raymond Lolicher, on one of K-pop shows, and on the spur of the moment, I backed it on Kickstarter, and it arrived relatively quickly because I actually remember, vaguely anyway, backing it, that it was something about a vampire and mourning. I gotta say, I judge this differently than I do the comics I pick up at the comic shop. I thought for a kind of what you might say beginning of their comic book career or semi-professional comic, it was very well done. You could see little flaws in the lettering or whatnot, and it was a kind of semi lighthearted horror movie spoof, I guess. You know, the kind of a gang of teens are out in the woods and something bad happens kind of story, which is not really like something that gets me super excited, but I thought it was pretty well done. The weird thing though is, were they teens? I had trouble telling the if I was supposed to think they were all in high school. Some of them looked older, so I don't know what the thought was. But they were talking about a big football game. I guess they could have been in college, and maybe there's some, you know, bald guys in college and stuff. I should go back to college, see if I can hang out and pick up chicks, you know, out in the woods before a vampire type attacks. Yeah, so it was, yeah, I just showed you a very gory page. It was very gory, and it kind of hinged on a bit of a joke almost, or yes, on a bit of a joke. So I enjoyed it, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. So, but I might look, this guy also has some comics that he's done before called Fallen, and I kind of like the covers to those look kind of interesting. So I don't know, I might check out if he has a website here or something, Scales Comics, and see. Yeah, so as this is the right kind of, for me, for Kickstarter, this is what I want to get, you know, support someone who's working hard at their craft and starting their career or having a fun side career in comics. So that was cool. I won't rank it with the other. I don't think it would be fair to try to rank it with the other comics. Remote Space #1 from Image Comics. This is an interesting one. It's supposedly just going to be 4 issues, and I can't imagine how that's going to work. It's by Cliff Rathburn. He did everything on it, and I guess he mentions being an inker and a colorist at Marvel Comics and the like. Spider-Man, the Hulk, Green Mile, The Walking Dead. I guess in The Walking Dead he does gray tones, not color. But but here he's doing everything: writing, drawing, coloring. I think he's even doing the lettering. Is he? Yes, he's even doing the lettering. But what he has here is a big science fiction idea that he's trying to pack into these 4 issues. It's not entirely original. But not that really matters, but I don't know if he's aware of Bruce Sterling's Shaper Mechanist stories, where humanity splits into 2 halves. One half goes for mechanical augmentation of their bodies, and the other half to genetic augmentation or genetic manipulation, and doesn't use a lot of technology. And that's what's happened here in his solar system, his Earth, where the mechanist type people, he doesn't call them that, are off in space, and the people who've done a biological manipulation are living on Earth, which is a otherwise toxic place for old humanity. So they've got turned themselves into weird creatures like this. So it's kind of cool, but it feels like, despite the big info dump at the beginning, the story is just barely getting going in here. So I just don't know how this could possibly be just 4 issues. The other thing is, well, sort of once the info dump was over, half of the story I followed and understood. The other half was, I guess, the shaper, the genetic shapers have an arena and they fight robots in it, but then maybe this robot has some important piece inside of it. I don't know. There was just a lot that was not so clear about that part either. So this is one of those books that, after reading the first issue, remains kind of a question mark. Hey. One more comic. And here's a random beer that I picked up at the store. I thought I'd try it. Run Wild IPA from Athletic Brewing Company. Oh, wait a minute. Hoisted on my own petard. It's non-alcoholic. How did I not see that before? Oh well, doesn't matter. I don't need alcohol. I can get my own buzz off of life. Yeah, tastes like beer. Not like an IPA though. But what I read was Self-Help, which was a good comic. Written by Darren Hart, art by Cassandra Crawford, or perhaps Jerry Hauser. I don't know. It doesn't give specific credits. And it's presented by Scissavision, whose symbol is this Z. So I guess it's yet another sort of sub-label at Image Comics. I think it's being run by this editor, Chris Ryall, who used to work at some other company. That's my guess. So where to start? This one has a bit of a movie pitch feel to it, but in a good way. The main character looks just like a famous self-help guru, but his life is shambles. But then he and the self-help guru meet up. I don't want to spoil any more of it, but it's done very well. If I were a movie producer, I'd say, hey, this is a good movie pitch. Let's option this for a movie. So it was fun to read, quick, snappy read, well paced, well drawn, just everything clicking nicely. And although it feels immediately like a movie, I don't know if I've seen this exact story in a movie, but of course, stories about lookalikes switching places are old as the hills, aren't they? So anyway, I will now rank all these comics for you. Did I say that these are all comics from sometime in June? I'm still falling behind. I'm nowhere near getting to my July comics. But so I'm still off of my preferred way of doing things, where I cover that stuff of exactly a certain week. So it goes. Hopefully I will catch up in a bit. Funny that I am sticking with the non-alcoholic beer. They both taste like lagers, not IPAs. But this non-alcoholic one doesn't have the annoying skunky taste to go with it. So here's my ranking from number 8 to number 1. At number 8, I'm putting Butcher Boy. Not a bad comic, but just not for me. Remote Space. It was just more effort to read than I would have liked, but it was good. Spawn was fun, but there's a lot about it I didn't understand. Fantastic art. A lot of great art in all these comics. The writer did not have a great cover, but had amazing art inside. So I'm putting, Remote Space, I put it number 7. Spawn, I put it number 6. The writer, I'm saying, is number 5. Number 4, I'm putting The One Hand. This was a little bit of a hard choice, but I think there was enough unanswered questions here that it was I got less joy out of it than I might have compared to the ones at the top. Self-Help, just a really fun read, really smooth. Crocodile Black, it'll be interesting to see where this goes, but it was certainly a really good first issue and really good art, really good storytelling. And Redcoat, I can't help myself, put it at number 1. I have a lot of fun reading this book, and fun is what it's all about at the end of the day. Enjoyment, pleasure, cool art, cool story, hijinks ensue. So, thanks for sticking with me for this weird little experiment. I mean, I think I've done things like this in the past, actually, but in any case, hopefully it was watchable, and I will talk to you all soon.